All right. Hello, hello. We are live. All right, solopreneurs. So today's community session is the death of content ideas and what is going to replace it. Because business owners are exhausted right now. They are doing all the things. All right, the content calendars, the hooks, staying consistent, showing up, do the carousels, the storytelling posts, provide value. Don't forget the trends, right? One moment we're all mindful and demure, the other moment it's the bees in the trap, and it's just this endless pressure to keep feeding the machine, right? And we don't even get paid for that part. Like, what is going on here? Right? That's what we're dealing with. We're over here. We need to land clients and do the actual work that we started this whole thing for, right? And for so many of us, this all just starts feeling like a cruel and annoying guessing game, right? This whole content thing just starts to feel like and then, right? If that wasn't enough for us, you go through and you see complete nonsense doing really, really well, right? Meanwhile, someone that is sharing something genuinely thoughtful, useful, well made, including yourself, right? And it goes nowhere. And so we're looking at that and we're kind of going, so am I supposed to dance now? Do I need the trendy audio? Should I be, pretend like I'm a lifestyle influencer? Am I supposed to become a full-time content creator on top of doing my actual business? Right? Is that what's supposed to happen? And that's the frustration, right? That's the struggle because we are sitting here as business owners trying to get clients, trying to deliver work, manage projects, answer emails, run operations, maybe raise some kids or some fur babies, or maybe even just grow some tomatoes. And on top of that, we're, hopefully doing our best, right? We can have an actual life. And now, in all of that, we're apparently also supposed to feed the algorithm 24 hours a day too, right? This, of course, is where we start burning out. Right? We start burning out in general. We start burning out on social media. And of course, they're hating it, right? Most time, by the time people come to me, they hate it. They don't want to hate it, but they hate it and they don't get it. And we're trying to crack the code. And the truth is that no one ever really explained what content is actually for when you run a small business. What content is actually flipping for when you run a small business, when you're just a little solopreneur, right? What does success actually look like for content? Because we have a lot of mixed models of what that is being shown to us. And how does social media actually fit into a real world business model? Right? And many of us accidentally start learning content strategy from people with completely different business models. So it's a very long way to say that today we are going to talk about why content ideas was already the wrong starting point. Okay. The difference between content creators and business owners, what content is actually for, and how to create content that actually supports your business instead of just feeding the internet endlessly. Okay, so again, as always, a quick welcome to our M360 members who are here in the Zoom room with me. Hello, hello. And for those of you joining us on YouTube, also hello. I see your eyes out there. Welcome. We've got about 30 minutes together today, and then the members and I will stay for our private discussion and implementation session. So as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Check the show notes below for resources, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. So let's start here. There are two completely different people on social media right now, right? There is the content creator and there is the business owner, and they are not playing the same game, right? They are not playing the same game. Please hear that. So we have the content creator. The content creator gets paid for attention. Do you hear that? The content creator gets paid for attention. So they get paid when there are views, followers, watch time, retention, ad revenue, brand deals. For them, content, hear this, content is the product. Okay? Content is the product. So, yes, going viral for them does matter. Reach matters. Follower count matters a lot because eyeballs on content equals income for them. That model makes complete sense. It is a real business. All right. So creating content focused on getting views is what matters. If views are what gets them paid. You following me here? All right. Creating content that gets views for them matters. Increasing following count matters because the boss, their boss, a content creator's boss is the algorithm. Content creator's boss is the platform, right? It's Instagram, it's YouTube, it's the brand deals, right? If they have a brand deal, they know what they need to create because it needs to support that brand deal, right? You create content. If you're as a content creator, you're going to create content to make those things happen, right? You're creating content to get the views, to get followers, to get the brand deals, to get those different things. That is what the purpose of your content is. But right? This the little business owner here. You are not getting paid for views. I'm not saying you can't, right? I'm not saying that you like, oh, no, that's not part. But that is not your actual focus, right? I'm not saying that you can't get views. What I'm saying is that it's not your business model. If you are over here focused on income from YouTube or Instagram, then you need to cater to that. It only makes the most sense. You must make stuff that will make Instagram and YouTube happy. But if you are focused on your product, your offer, and the power of it that you can create when you help others, then in your business model, when you get paid when someone pays you for that product or service, right? That's when you get paid. You get paid when someone books the session. You get paid when someone signs up for your program, when someone downloads that app, when someone joins your membership, buys the workshop, the book, the course. That is a completely different game. Completely different, right? So I need you to hear this. You do not get paid for content. Even if something trickles in, that's not your business model, right? If your content is fire, beautiful, consistent, valuable, getting likes, getting saves, but your conversions are low, meaning nobody is buying your products, nobody is signing up, it's low or nothing, you don't get paid. Full stop. That's it. And yet, so many business owners are measuring their success by content metrics. Do you hear that? Measuring their success by content metrics, right? They're looking at follower count, they're looking at reach, engagement rate, right? Metrics that belong to a completely different business model. So, hear this once or hear it 1,000 times. It's just as important every time I say it. Content metrics are not business metrics. Measure the wrong thing and you will build for the wrong thing. Yes, I am on a bit of a soapbox here, okay? Like this is so important to really, really understand because it doesn't matter what trend, what thing, what platform comes. This concept will hold true through the ages, through the decades, through the platforms. I've watched it firsthand through almost 30 years of doing this. So I'm telling you, hear that, hear it, hear it. All right. So you're hearing it. Or maybe you're going, okay, I've heard you. So that is it, right? Oh gosh, that's a rough slide. That's not how that's supposed to look, but that's okay. This this is where we started going off track as business owners. Because if you're a content creator, starting with what content should I make, it does make sense. The content is the business. But for a business owner, starting with what should I post today is already the wrong starting point. And it always was. There was never a time that was the right one. Okay, you could get by. You could get by when people were still there was algorithms were different, but it was never the good choice. It was never the good start because content Content was never supposed to exist for its own sake. Oh, that's what the slide should say. Please hear that. Content should not exist for its own sake. Content is meant to support. It's to support the business. It's to support the relationships that are happening. It's the communication. It's supporting movement. But somewhere along the way, we got pulled into this idea that if we just keep posting enough, somehow the business appears. And I'm not going to let someone off the hook like somewhere along the way. We were fed that nonsense. Okay, we were fed that nonsense. I mean, honestly, by people who were content creators, because that's what works for them. Right? Just stay visible. Just keep showing up. Something's gonna land, right? Just be consistent without anyone explaining. Not once was anyone explaining. Consistent to what? What were we being consistent towards? What are we visible for? Visible for what? What is this content actually trying to do? Because if the answer is just get engagement, then we quietly start building around the wrong goal again. And this is where we get trapped. We get trapped, right? Because I think everyone, any business owner, right? Any solopreneur especially, you can hear this, right? Because content becomes the job. Posting becomes the goal. Visibility becomes the obsession instead of the business itself. And suddenly, people are spending 20 hours making content, 3 hours editing reels, and all week feeding platforms. Feeding platforms they don't own. Makes sense for content creators, not for business owners. Because the actual business that the rest of us have, right? That's not content. The offer we're selling, the client journey we're curating, the sales process that's being mapped out, the relationships that are in progress. That's not getting any attention. And this is why content just starts to be so exhausting. Because many business owners are accidentally trying to operate like media companies. And what we actually need is just communication that supports our business. Communication that supports our business. Because in the end, content is just a conversation. Hear this, it's just a conversation. It's not an ad, it's not a broadcast, it's a conversation. And I want you to think about this. Think about what makes a conversation actually good. Places you've been, people you've been near. I have a cold I'm getting over, so this is just real life here, y'all. All right. What makes a conversation actually good, though, right? Do you enjoy talking to someone who only talks about themselves? I know most of us don't, right? Or someone who's always trying to sell you on anything. Maybe it's their supplement side hustle, or maybe just on a restaurant they really like, and you're just like, no, like nobody likes that. So what makes someone genuinely good to talk to? A conversation you enjoy. They're like, yes, I will show up for that. It's usually someone that you learn something from, right? Someone who's like, man, I always like learn something new from them. Like, I didn't know that was even a thing you could do. Something interesting, fascinating, even, right? Someone and a conversation that is relevant to your life. And you walk away feeling like this was worth your time. And if someone is always talking about something you have zero interest in, or you don't understand why you should have interest in it, or how it relates to you at all. I'm going to say fishing. Look, I don't fish. And if that's all they're talking about, it's just going to be hard. I'm going to tune out, right? I'm going to move on. Content is just conversation at scale. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have relevant conversations at scale. This is how you strike up conversations. That's what your content is as a business owner, right? It's how you get to know what you're about. And over time, if someone follows you, they start to know, oh, she talks about permaculture. And oh, he's the one always on about simplifying business systems, right? Or the career navigation person. That's the one who makes those insane cakes. And through showing up and talking about your thing, people start to understand what it is you do, why it matters to them, maybe, how it works, who it's for. And if they stick around your world long enough and your content is doing the job it's supposed to do, ideally they'll know almost as much as you do. They'll know. They'll be able to spot a poorly made cake and a good cake. They'll be able to look at two workshops and go, well, that clearly is the superior one, right? Because they have been around your universe, but you've been teaching them how to choose. You've been teaching them how to have the right eye for the right things. They are learning to be just as good as you in that world, right? So then it's easy for them to see just how good you are. They don't need to be convinced at this point. They already know. And that's really the goal, right? It's not these viral, impressive metrics. Ultimately, we just want the decisions to be easier for them. We just want them to go, this makes sense. You seem like the right fit. That's all we're trying to do, right? Is just go, yeah, I want to find the right people, right? We want to find the right people understanding what we do well enough to say yes. That's it. Yes to whatever the next step is, right? Whatever the next step is. For some businesses, yes, the next step might be straight from, I saw your post, I'm purchasing. For some, it's about 3% maybe. The other 97% of us, right? Especially as online service providers, fitness coaches, career coaches, wellness instructors, your transition and relocation specialists, my online business managers and VAs and course creators, right? The workshop facilitators, the executive coaches, branding experts, and more and more and more of you, right? The next step for many of us is going to be something before the sale. It's going to be to that lead magnet, those 3 tips, that 10 steps, the checklist, right? The mini ebook, the worksheet, the workshop, the session, or the newsletter. Your job, or more so, the job of your content is to make it make sense to take that next step. Ooh, I wish I had a slide for that. Okay, your job, the job of your content is to make it make sense to take that next step. Make it make sense to go, I should get on the newsletter and learn more about this. Make it make sense to go, that 10-point checklist sounds like it would help me. Make it make sense to say those 3 steps sound like the ones I should take now after having read this. That call sounds like something that would be helpful, right? That's a big whole other conversation. If those of you around long enough know I'm not a Discovery Call fan, your call needs to have a purpose. Anyhow, that's what it needs to do, right? Is that's it, and that's it. Ultimately, that's it. Real easy, done. We can just end it here. That's it. Okay, make it do that. So I know that that's not it, because this is all great theory. It's all great ideas. It's all great concepts. And I would love for you to hold this and go, yeah, it makes sense, Tanya. I'm overthinking it. I keep making it this or that and trying to think of content ideas. Really, it's just conversation. But in the end, what do you do with that, right? I get it. That's the next part, action. Like, you need to actually do the work. And that's what we're going to try to do in the 10 minutes or so that we have left here. Okay, so if follow me now, take a breath, I got some more water. If content is conversation, then of course, right, Tony, what do I do with that? Help me figure out how do I do that. If it's conversation, then we need to know, where are we in this conversation, so we know where to start or what to talk about, right? Because not every conversation starts in the same place. Think about how differently you talk to different people in your life. Close friend that's known you for years, they already know what you do, they know your story, they get it. So I just say, hey, we did 360 on Thursday. It was incredible. And they know exactly what that means. But to a stranger, I'd have to say, well, oh yeah, I run this program called M360, Mastery 360, and it's for solopreneurs who want to build powerful small businesses based on systems, and then and on and on. And then I can say, and it was on Thursday and it was great. Same information, ultimately, completely different conversation. Right? We got to know where we are in the conversation, because the other thing here we got to pull together and understand is that your audience is not one person. Your audience is both of those people at the same time. It's the person who's been around and knows, and it's the person who doesn't. Some people have been following you for 2 years, and some just found you yesterday. Some are ready to buy. Some don't even fully understand what you do yet. And your content has to account for that. Right? Your audience is both of these people at the same time, and your content has to account for that. So what are we looking at? Now I'm going to do a very simple, basic one. There's so many different ways. There's actually other scales I love, but we're going to go with a really, really simple one to grasp real quick today, right? We all kind of understand cold, warm, and hot, right? So these 3 stages. Cold people are the people who just found you. So they still need context. They still need to know who you are, what you do, like, why does it matter to them? That's very important. Again, why does it matter to them? Our warm people who've been around a while, they get it. They need a little more depth. They're still learning proof. They're looking at reasons to take their own next step. A lot of times this is about belief in themselves more than it is about you. And then we get to the hot people, right? These are the people who are ready. They just are looking for the clear invitation. What should I do next? What's the next step? What exactly is it that I need to know? How can I make it happen? The issue here is that most business owners talk to this 3% and forget to talk to the other 97%. So the content that is going to work is the content that talks to all 3. Now hear this, please hear this. Do not turn off here or leave here after this one. When I say content that talks to all 3, I do not mean every piece of content needs to do all of the things, talk to all of the people. Absolutely not. That unicorn is going to leave you with ashes. Okay. It is not actually ever what we want to do. But what you do need is your overall presence, right? The body of work that you put out there should be serving all 3, right? You should have a post for someone who just found you and should be able to figure out quickly if you're for them, right? You should have a post or piece of content for someone who's been around and just getting deeper and closer into the issue or the knowledge or info, right? And then you have someone who knows exactly what they want or just trying to figure out what to do next. That itself is a content strategy. That is content strategy, right? Not a calendar, not whether to do reels or to do a newsletter. That's not the strategy, right? It's a conversation that meets people where they are, and how you're making sure that that's built into it. That's what a content strategy is. I had no idea, everyone, I was going to get so fired up about today, but obviously I am, and I'm really excited talking about content. I never knew. Okay, at least the concepts of it. So here we are, right? So where do we actually start? Like, again, great stuff, Tanya, but what do we do? So where do we actually start? I want to answer this because it's not with content, never with content. This is the whole point of my conversation today. As a business owner, that is not what we're asking. You start with one question. The one question I want you to get clear on is, what are you selling right now? And I don't mean what's technically available on your website, what's your menu of options. Absolutely not. I mean, what are you focused on? What do you want someone to move forward with right now? I do not care if you have 25 products. If you're in my group, I care, and that's maybe we would need to talk about. But if you have 25 products, you have to choose one to focus on, either this month or this quarter. Maybe it is your year, and then we would talk about how you focus on different, usually audiences or angles or something like that, right? But you need a way to measure what's working and what's not. And if you're just throwing everything about all your products to your audience all the time, we have no idea what's working or why, or what's not working and why, right? So this is your starting point. What are you selling right now? Okay, this is what we plan out every month in our M360 group, right? Every month and every quarter. It's not the content ideas, it's not the trends or what's performing well on Instagram this week. It is your offer, your project, your business priority right now. That is how we decide what our content is going to be. Stay with me because we're going to get to the answer, the real detailed answer of all this, right? So if you're listening and you're like, okay, I don't have a product though, that's real great. I'm still new. I'm still building this, Tanya. I don't know. That's fine. But this is what I need you to hear. You are still selling. Your job and your product right now is selling to grow an audience. You're selling yourself to be followed, right? Your offer needs to be your lead magnet. Okay, so some sort of lead. Now we have a whole thing about lead magnets and all kinds of things. So you want useful information. Yes, there's a very viable. They're just not viable when they're done poorly. Okay, but your lead magnet, your newsletter, whatever that freebie is, the thing that brings someone into your world, even if obviously that shouldn't cost. Even though that doesn't cost, that is what you're selling right now if you don't have a product. And the truth is a lot of us, even if we don't have products, that is the first level of what we're selling, because the selling happens later in the relationship for most of us, not in that front end part. So we are selling our freebie. We are selling the idea of being on our newsletter, coming into our world, following along, right? So this, whatever, so if you don't have a product, this is where you're looking at, and that's what your content should be moving people forward. All right. And if you don't even have that, honestly, my 2 cents is you might be wasting your time right now creating content, because your content ideally is moving and leading them to somewhere. Right. So without that next step, you are just talking into a void, and maybe people are following if your content's really super specific and clear. But it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. It's not a black and white, but I would say if you're trying to figure out where to spend your time and you're spending all this time creating content, you might as well take that pause, get the foundations in order, and then go back and do all the stuff you need to do. All right, I'm always going over here. I'm still learning, y'all, to not like go over too much. But I'm going to tie it up. We're going to tie it up. Okay, so if you do have products, great. Then the question right again is, which our product service is the focus right now for this month or this quarter. It cannot be everything at once. It cannot successfully be everything at once, and or until you have such a huge, incredible, giant, diversified audience, a huge team to work on all of it, all those pieces, which really at that point, I don't know why you're here listening to me, because you're probably like a Fortune 100 company, but thanks and awesome that you're listening to me. Anyhow, so going back to the point here is what we have to go, what are we prioritizing this month, next quarter? Now, you may only have a few, and so we'll go into that just very quickly. So for some of you, it might be a book. You have a book and you're like, you know what? I haven't done any real sales on this. Maybe it launched, maybe it already launched, and you want to just circle back on going, I really haven't pushed book sales for a while. So you want to do book sales this month, or maybe this quarter, or maybe there's a workshop coming up. So you're like, this month is books, next is the workshop. And then after that, I really want to focus on my one-to-ones. And maybe I'll focus on really selling my one-to-ones that month and the couple months after, right? Depends on how much you're planning out already, okay? Or maybe it's your group offer for the whole quarter. Maybe you only have a one-to-one offer. So for those of you who have one-to-one offers, what tends to happen is what happens with the focus is we'll changing what the product might be. We look at different audiences, or we might focus on different objections or different things in terms of what we do throughout the year for your content. Okay, so whatever it is, right? That's essentially it, right? That's your content plan. Because now content has a job. That's always been what it's needed. Content has a job. It was like, I don't know what to do. And now we're telling you what to do, right? It's not just filling a calendar. It is supporting a real business goal. It's supporting a product or service, because that is the actual goal, right? And so again, your content ideas, it starts with sales. All right, it's not with anything else. This really isn't at ideas, or even it just starts with the sales, not with what should I post. It's what are we selling right now, and what does the content need to do to support that? Answer that first. Everything else comes after the answer to that question. All right, and then once we get there, that's when we work backwards. All right, we work backwards from the offer. Once you know what your content needs to support, now we can actually talk about what to say. And this is where it gets simple, right? You start with the offer and you work backwards. And you're going to look, and I even made sure we had a slide so you could capture some of these here, right? You're going to look at, what does someone need, right? This is such a like so much more organic, kind way to approach content, right? Than these manipulation tactics, right? We go, okay, now that I know what I'm selling, what does someone need to know before they were to, before they say yes to something like this? What do they need to understand about the problem they're in, and what happens if it doesn't get resolved, or if it's ignored or whatnot, right? Or if different problems pop up. What do they need to believe is actually possible for something like this? What fears or objections might be stopping them from even considering this kind of support, help, or whatnot, right? What questions are they already asking? What misconceptions do they or have about this or about this industry? What results have other people gotten? And what does the process maybe actually look like? You go to and answer the questions to these right now, and I am telling you, this is your content. This is your content. You just got your content ideas, right? That's what they are right there. Every single one of those questions is a piece of content. It's not a content prompt. It's because it's a real thing someone needs to understand before they move forward. That's the difference. Content that comes from this place doesn't feel like you're feeding the machine, right? It feels like you're actually helping someone get somewhere because you are. Right? This is how you never run out of things to say. Because when you're connected to your offer, when you know what you're building towards, you don't stare at a blank screen and wonder what to post. Because you know what someone needs to understand. You know what objections are going to come up. You know what questions people ask on discovery calls, right? You can look up why we don't do discovery calls, so you see why that's a little joke we have there. You know what the transformation looks like, though. So talk about that. That's your content strategy. So last wrap up here, we talk about the actual content, just kind of a little quick thing to give you some more tangible walkaways, right? So you know what you're selling now. You know what someone needs to understand before they say yes. You have real things now you can say. So now and only now do we talk about how to say it. And this is where people make it way too complicated. I need you to understand that the vehicle is just a vehicle. If it's a video, a post, a carousel, an email, a reel, a podcast episode, it's all content. Those are just vehicles for content. So the strategy is not, should I do a reel or should I do a carousel? The strategy is, what conversation needs to happen, and perhaps what's the best way for me to have it right now. Sometimes it may be a short video. Sometimes it's a post. I am a video person. It's so much easier for me to jump on video. And then second to that would probably be writing, right? Some of the other things I don't like doing, all right? Sometimes it's a long email to your list, but the vehicle doesn't change the message. Instead, pick what you're good at, pick what you'll actually do, and go. And lastly, with that, I want you to get 3 types of content, all right? I want you to really keep this simple, right? For me, content is just one of 3 things. You're going to have value content, right? You are teaching, you're sharing a perspective, you're telling a story, you're helping someone understand something. You're not asking for anything, just genuine usefulness. This is so hard for people to understand sometimes. Just a really helpful email. They walk away saying, you have to hold, you're not holding anything back. There's no gimmick. There's no manipulation. It's just value, right? A legitimate benefit to someone that reads that. It gives value. It is valuable, right? Then we have the value plus soft ask. I wasn't moving for a second. So now you're getting value, right? But now you're just naturally pointing towards that next step, right? That we talked about, that next step. So again, your newsletter, your lead magnet, your workshop, your strategy call, something that makes sense given what you shared. Hey, if you're still struggling with this topic we're talking about, get my 5 points on how to take care of topic we were talking about, right? Soft ask. It's just kind of a natural mention that makes sense to what they were reading as to why you would say, hey, here's something you could try too. And it could be a freebie, it could be a paid thing, depending on what makes sense for that situation. Again, that's going to be based on your business. Then the third one we have is the direct ask. Right? You are making an offer. It's a clear invitation. It's not hiding behind a cute blog. It's not a storytelling that then pops out to a pitch at the end. This is just a direct, here's my thing. It's available. This is how you get it. This is what I'll do. It's buy it, right? I mean, it's direct. I'm just asking you directly. There's no hiding, beating around the bush with this one. Okay. And that's it. That's the whole game. Most of your content should be value. Some of it should be value with a soft ask. And regularly, not rarely, regularly, you should be making direct asks. Because if you never ask, people never know what to do next. My favorite line is, if you don't, closed mouths don't get fed. All right? You got to open your mouth, you got to say something. And if you only ask, right? So if you never ask, people don't know what to do next. But if you only ask, you haven't built enough trust for anyone to say yes. So it is a mix. It is a conversation. It is relationship over time. And that's it. I mean, really, that's the whole content strategy. So what replaces content ideas? Let's bring this all together. The death of content ideas isn't really about content, right? It is about finally understanding what content was always supposed to be. Not a performance, not a machine to feed, not a metric to chase, a conversation that supports a real business. So here's the replacement. Start with your offer, right? I think I even have a cute little slide here. Start with your offer. Work backwards to what someone needs to understand. Talk to them where they are in the relationship with you. And then choose your vehicle. Show up as value plus ask, or a direct ask. That's it. That's the whole thing. It was never meant to be more complicated than that. We just got lost for a while there. Okay? So I hope that has been helpful. My Mastery 360 members stay in the room, but we'll say goodbye to our YouTube audience there. Thank you for being here for today's session. If this shifted something for you, share it with another business owner who's been exhausted by the content hamster wheel as well. Like and subscribe so you can catch our next session, and check the show notes for resources and how to learn more about joining us inside Mastery 360. And we'll see you next time. Members, stay put. And we'll see you soon. Bye.